Welcome back to another episode of Teachable Moment on the Educational AD Podcast. We'll be right back with Dr. Mekia Troy, but first we want to acknowledge our partners, the Florida Coaches Coalition, Vital Signs Wall of Fame, We Coach, and the global community of women in high school sports. You've heard me say several times that these are four great organizations that you should really add to your network, and it's true. Reach out, add these groups to your network. And now, hey, don't hit that fast forward button because I'm watching you. Stay with us for the next 3 minutes, just 3 minutes. We're going to give our sponsors a shout out. These are all companies that I used as an athletic director. Products are great. You should be using them too. Here we go. Hey, we'd like to say thanks to Vital Signs Wall of Fame for their support of the podcast. Go to vitalsignswalloffame.com. Check out their interactive touchscreen video consoles. It's a great way to display your school record boards, your school's Hall of Fame, or simply share your school's proudest moments. Mention the podcast, you'll get a nice discount. That's vitalsignswalloffame.com. We'd also like to thank Hometown Ticketing, the leading digital ticketing provider to schools and colleges. Go to hometownticketing.com to get started. It's digital ticketing that offers more. hometownticketing.com. We'd also like to thank Gipper. Gipper is the official social media graphics solution for the podcast. And if you go to Gipper.com, their team will show you how to start creating world-class marketing content to help celebrate your athletes and promote your teams. Gipper is used and trusted by over 3,000 athletic programs across the country. It's professional graphic design made simple. So simple, even I can use it. Mention the podcast, you'll get a nice discount. That's Gipper.com. We also want to say thanks to Snap Raise. If you're tired of spending weeks and weeks with fundraisers that give you little, if any, return, stop right here and go to snapraise.com/EDAD. It's hands down the best online fundraising platform. We used it with great success. It works. Okay. They also have an entire suite of platforms designed to help you do your job better. And if you go to Snap Raise, you're automatically entered in a $1,500 fundraiser for your school. That's snapraise.com/EDAD. We'd also like to thank Sideline Interactive, indoor score tables and video boards. Go to sidelineinteractive.com, schedule a live web demo, see their score tables and their score boards in action. Probably one of the best purchases I ever made as an AD. Go to sidelineinteractive.com for more information. We'd also like to thank Huddle. Go to huddle.com, change the way you see the game. As a football coach, I used Huddle for years, but when I became an athletic director, I made sure our school was a Huddle school, and our coaches just loved the tools that Huddle provided that helped them coach our kids up to the highest level. At Huddle, we believe in sports and teams believe in Huddle. Join the 8 million users. Go to huddle.com to get started. We'd also like to thank Athletic Surveys by LifeTrack. At my school, we use surveys for just about everything, for kids, coaches, parents, and the information that came back was almost always over the top positive, which is a tremendously valuable tool to have when you're talking with a frustrated parent, or maybe your principal, or even your school board. Go to athleticsurveys.com. They're going to create a custom survey that lets you take the pulse of your parents and your student athletes. That's athleticsurveys.com. And we'd like to thank Home Campus. Home Campus is the official high school and state association management platform for us. It's also your one-stop platform for things like athletic eligibility and clearance, scheduling, facilities, coaches. You can find it all at homecampus.com. As an AD, I used Home Campus every day. You're going to love it too. That's homecampus.com. Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Teachable Moment on the Educational AD, actually episode number 15 of Teachable Moment. We do this every single week, and our guest is Dr. Mekia Troy. She's a certified master athletic administrator, if you're new to the show. She's also the athletic director at Creekside High School in Georgia, very successful program. Active at the state and the national level, Dr. Troy, welcome back. What do you have for our listeners this week on Teachable Moment number 15?
Thanks, Jake, for the welcome. I appreciate it. Well, 2022, that was a big year for programming and presentations and documentaries on the 50th anniversary of Title IX. It seems like there was something every week that was going, and it was great. But now that we are in 2023 for a couple more months, it seems like a lot of that casual conversation has died down. And I just hate for the conversation to stop. I understand that I'm a beneficiary of those who fought so hard to make sure that women had equal opportunities in the world of athletics, and more specifically, the increase of female athletes that, kind of launched on with the 1996 Atlanta Olympics. And those of us who as teenagers saw that and thought, this is awesome. And not just because it was in my backyard here in Georgia, but because the performances of those American women's teams was just huge. And there was a lot of discussion on Title IX that came from it. And it just impacted me greatly during my teen years right then in that moment. So much so that I felt empowered. I felt that I had a voice and a place. And I, as a high school student at that time, approached our athletic director and told him he was in violation of Title IX. I was very confident because the boys basketball team had gotten a new uniform and the girls basketball team had not. And I didn't think it was right. And I believed that it was a violation of Title IX. Well, in that moment, he laughed. But I was pretty serious when I approached him about it. And I just let him know that, hey, that's fine. The girls will be still playing when the guys in their new uniforms will be at home. And that's actually exactly what happened. As fate would have it, the guys were bounced in the first round of postseason play, and the girls were able to advance. So I still love to think about that and how I just, approached the athletic director. But now here I am sitting in that same seat. And looking back, not to get into the weeds of the whole 3-prong test about Title IX and how that really goes for compliance, but the teachable moment, I think, in that, looking back, is that I didn't know as a child or as a student how those uniforms were paid for. It could have been fundraised. It could have been a booster gift. Like, I really had no idea. However, I believe the athletic administrator in that moment missed an opportunity to educate me. Of course, he would have never known that I was going to become a coach and an athletic director myself, but he missed an opportunity to kind of teach me or show me either where maybe there was a mistake or how maybe it wasn't a mistake. But I think it would have been, and I would have been receptive, just a time for him to teach me something or educate me. Maybe it shocked him because I even brought it up or challenged the whole situation. But I love when our student athletes ask me questions about the processes of how the athletic department works. I enjoy explaining to them how things go, because I tell you what, there's a lot they don't know, and they have some pretty wild assumptions. So it's a good idea to get in front of some of that, but just having a conversation so that they can share that back with their friends or their parents, even whomever else is coming up with some of the wild ideas. But yeah, I just like to educate them and let them know how things go, and to get their ideas and perspectives on things that maybe me in this seat I don't see, or I might not even consider, just because I'm not, a 16-year-old anymore. So it's important to hear their perspectives and their thoughts, because something that I might really like or think we should do might not be effective at all. But something that they have an idea about, maybe there's a way for us to get it done so they feel like they're a part of the process of how the athletic department runs. And I like that. So as athletic administrators, we have to comply with Title IX, of course, but it's not something that we likely talk about very much on a regular basis. And that's fine too. But we do have to recognize that our girls' sports shouldn't suffer just because maybe they don't generate maybe as much revenue as some others, and maybe they don't have the same type of fan support. But there are things as the athletic administrator that we can do to try to encourage that. Hey, wear their gear out. Go travel to some away games instead of just working the home games. Go see them on the road. Give them some special social media shout outs. Let them know how important they are to the existence of our athletic department. And you just want to make sure ultimately that your girls have the same access to athletic benefits and opportunities that the boys do. And it doesn't always have to be something that has a require funding. It could be just purposeful consideration of the female athletes in the athletic department. So not to get on the soapbox, but I think it's important that athletic administrators, no matter what, are considering the value that the female athletes in their building have.
It's a great topic. And again, something that I always tried and still continue to try to mention is you don't have, equal uniforms for your women's sports to avoid Title IX violation. You do it because it's the right thing to do. Okay. The girls are out there representing your school as an AD, whether it's a male or female AD. Of course, we're going to put them in great uniforms and locker rooms and facilities and fields and things like that. Now, does it always happen? No, it doesn't. But, my wife, and I've shared this many times, she was a Title IX pioneer back in the 70s, running on her boys cross country team until she started beating some of the boys. And the coach said, okay, I guess we'll start a girls team. But then at the Division I level back in the late 70s, she was just actually, I'm bragging now, she was inducted into her university's, Oregon State University's Hall of Fame last year as a Title IX pioneer, and talked about back then the discrepancy between, how they traveled in vans and cars with sack lunches, while, men's teams traveled a little bit differently. So, have we come a long way? Yes. Are we anywhere near where we should be? No, we're not. So, yes, we need you and me and everybody else to continue to beat the drum about treating all of our student athletes at the highest possible level we can. And you bring up funding. Sometimes ADs have to buy uniforms out of their own athletic budget, along with officials and transportation, everything else. And you can only spend $1, as you know, 2 or 3 times before that dollar's gone. And, is it sponsorship? Is it boosters? And is this booster club? We want to avoid, having one team traveling like a Division I entourage and another team at our school that looks like the little sisters or little brothers of the poor. So is it easy? No, but if it was easy, everybody would be an AD, right? So great stuff. What are some things that you do at Creekside, that you've been able to do at Creekside, to ensure and foster, that equity between all sports, boys, girls, et cetera?
Yeah, I mean, of course, financially, our district makes sure to help us with those things, because we have to account for what we've done as far as our spending goes for both girls and boys programs. However, it's the other things, the little things. Like today, I was so excited to see our head custodian walking around in a cheerleader t-shirt, just supporting the cheer team. That's big. When we're putting out the social media graphics and things like that, to make sure that they are getting as much shine as the guys are. It's easy for the bandwagon to jump on with the football team or the boys basketball team, because that's just what people see, from the NFL to the NBA. We just have to be intentional with giving them that notoriety, that extra bit, so that it can be seen. Because it's, even with the conversation amongst the students, someone's got to say a little more to make sure we recognize the female athletes as well. So yeah, just trying to make an effort to keep it in everybody's faces.
Well, again, it's a very timely topic. Thanks for sharing. If one of our listeners wanted to reach out, add you to their network. And once again, listeners, you got a tremendous resource here. What's the best way they can get hold of you?
Right. You can find me on social media at Dr. Troy Me, or email is fine, drtroyme@gmail.com. Be happy to speak with anyone.
Dr. Mekia Troy, thanks again for sharing with us this week. Also, we're 1 week out from the NADC conference. You're going to be teaching one of the courses down there. If you might still be able to get into these courses, but they fill up quickly. What course are you going to be teaching down in Orlando?
That'll be 706, coaching coaches to be leadership educators. And that is, I believe that's Monday at 4, Monday, December 18th at 4.
You know, and again, all the LTI courses are great. I'm going to be teaching the 2 middle school courses, 700 and 701 for any middle school EDs out there. If you can't get into Dr. Troy's course, we'd love to have you come and sit down in ours. So once again, Dr. Troy, thanks for sharing, and we will see you next week down in Orlando.
All right. See you then.
For listeners, we do this every single week, and we'll continue to have new episodes of Teachable Moment through the end of December and on into the new year. Of course, we appreciate you listening. We appreciate you checking out the YouTube videos on the Educational AD Podcast YouTube channel and for listening to the podcast. So thanks for listening. We'll see you next time on the Educational AD Podcast. Hey, before we go, we do want to give a shout out to our sponsors. I used every single one of these companies. You should be using them too. Snap Mobile's the parent company. SnapRaise is the fundraising arm. Go to snapraise.com/EDAD. Hands down, the best fundraiser out there online. Snapraise.com. I want to thank Home Campus. As an athletic director, I used Home Campus every day. Athletic eligibility, scheduling, helping parents upload forms so you don't have to. Go to homecampus.com. I want to thank Sideline Interactive, indoor score tables and video boards. Probably one of the best purchases I ever made was my Sideline Interactive indoor score table. Go to sidelineinteractive.com for more information. VitalSignsWallOfFame.com. If you're looking for a really cool way to show off your school record boards or your school's Hall of Fame, go to VitalSignsWallOfFame.com. Mention the podcast, you'll get a nice discount. That's VitalSignsWallOfFame.com. We also want to say thanks to Hometown Ticketing. We already said Home Campus, and we do want to thank them. But Hometown Ticketing is the leading digital ticketing provider to schools and to colleges. Go to hometownticketing.com. Get started selling your tickets online. We want to say thanks to Huddle. Go to huddle.com. Change the way you see the game. I used Huddle as a football coach. I use it as an AD. You should be using it too. Go to huddle.com. We want to thank Athletic Surveys by LifeTrack. If you're not using a survey to take the pulse of your parents and your student athletes, you're really missing out. Go to athleticsurveys.com. Find out all the things they can do for you and your school. And we'd like to thank Gipper. Gipper's the official social media graphics solution for us. It's also an easy way for you to create world-class marketing content for your school's social media channel. Go to Gipper.com to get started. Thanks again for listening to this episode of Teachable Moment. Please continue to check out our podcast episodes. We're into our flashback series right now for another couple weeks. Well, we've got new interviews coming at the end of December and on into 2024. If you'd like to be a guest on the podcast, shoot me an email at jakestouchdown@gmail.com. And if you're still listening, shoot me a text. The first person to text me regarding this particular message on Teachable Moment, I'm going to Venmo you $50 cash. $50 cash for staying with the entire episode. Thanks a lot. We'll see you at the national conference.